I'm Michael, and this is Aidan. We're from Capital Partners, and today we want to talk about setting really good financial goals. So Aidan, with all of your experience with helping clients, what would be some real tips to set good financial goals?
Yeah, so I think the first part of that is to really make sure that you're clear and you understand what the money's for. So when we meet with prospective clients or new clients, it's really important for us to understand what motivates their financial decision making, what's important to them, because for us to be able to provide really objective, sound financial advice, we need to know the key motivators behind that. And so that's where we lead to goals. And quite often the first conversation we normally have when we're meeting with clients is to understand what are the key goals that take money and planning to achieve and why that's important to them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
That's the starting point for us.
Yeah, and so when you're practically setting a goal with a client, the starting point for me is to ask the client to give it a name, something that's really meaningful for them. What's the next step that we go through?
Yeah, so firstly, like you outlined, to give it a name so it's tangible and you can write it down and it's something to track. But then it's time to sort of give it a time frame. So you want to make sure the goals, we talk about SMART goals a lot, so specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, timely. So the second is really about setting a time frame. And then after that, it's about, okay, what's the actual figure that you'd like to factor into this goal?
How much is this goal going to cost?
Yeah.
Is it an annual spend, or is it a big lump sum that we need to be planning for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be, the goals can be aspirational. So as we know, nothing's ever static. Everything's always changing over time. And that's why it's really important that every 12 months or anytime something comes up that might throw a spanner in the works or something different in terms of family dynamics, we're checking saying, what else needs to be factored in? Is there anything else we need to be thinking about, or what would this look like? And that's part of having a dynamic, robust financial plan.
Because life changes, right? Things change from day to day, from year to year, and we need to evolve and mould the plan to be, suiting the goals that are being set.
Yeah.
The final bit for me, in terms of setting the goals, is asking the client to think about a couple of emotions. The question around what would they be feeling having achieved that goal. So it's sort of it gets people to think forward. With whatever the goal is, you're at that point in time. You've saved and accumulated that amount of money that you need to achieve that goal. What are you feeling?
Yeah, and it talks a lot too. So a lot of financial planning advice is looking forward and thinking about planning for the future. But sometimes it's nice to look back retrospectively and say, wow, we've made all this progress. And so by doing that and asking clients how they would feel, it gives them an opportunity to reflect even in the future and say, okay, how would I actually feel if we achieved that, and what would that mean to me?
Yeah, it gets that emotional buy-in, doesn't it? It's not just a money figure. It's a real feeling. Having achieved that, what does that feel like? What does that look like?
Yeah, and you would have sat in on hundreds of meetings where you've actually been with clients and they've ticked off a really, really big goal that they've been working towards for years, and I'm sure that's been hugely rewarding.
And for me, that is one of the biggest rewards, is sitting in the room with clients, having worked with them for a long period of time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and saying, you've achieved these goals, you're there, and seeing the smiles on their faces is just brilliant, seeing that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes as well you get that once one goal is achieved, you sort of get that what if questions, like, oh well, what if we did this, or what could this look like, and
what's next?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's ever evolving goals, financial planning, but that's why it's really important to always check in and make sure that we're really factoring in what's the money for, and what's the way that you want to use your money to live your best life.
Absolutely.
And I guess, throwing back to you, Michael, so a lot of times the question that people initially come in and ask is more, what should I be doing with my money, or am I invested the right way? But how does our approach, or our goals-based approach, sort of differ from that traditional question?
Yeah, that frame up, Aidan, is so right. You know, people do tend to start with the money, and traditional financial planning or wealth management does tend to start with the money. How much have you got in superannuation? You know, what fund are you in? I mean, they're important questions, but the way that we see the world is you have to start with the people. You can't start with the money. You need to understand what's most important for the clients. How do they want to be living life? What are their most important values? What are the goals? What are the goals that require money and planning to achieve? And only then, once you're clear on what their life looks like from an ideal perspective, that we can then go away and build the plan and so forth.
Yeah.
What's been your experience on that?
Yeah, it's I completely agree. And so if you go straight to the money, you're sort of skipping that first step. You're not understanding what are the key motivators behind people's decision making, but also like what do you actually want the money to allow you to do, and what's it there for. So once you've got a really clear sense of purpose around that, and as advisors we understand what those motivators are for clients, then once we're clear on that, we can delve into how the money should be invested, asset allocation, strategic advice. But it's very important that you don't miss that first step.
Absolutely. And as I think about it, there's sort of these two sort of sides to it. One is the benefit to the client on setting goals, and the importance to the team at Capital Partners around understanding what those goals are so that we can set the plan in place.
Yeah.
What would you say, Aidan, is the benefit to the client in having set really good financial goals?
I think the first one is getting an understanding of, is it achievable or not, or how achievable are these goals? And then once I've set the goals, we've gone away and done some of the initial work, and we sort of say, yes, this is really achievable, and it prompts that deep question, okay, what next? Or what if we do this? Or what does it look like if we help out this way? So it's just a really powerful tool to help inform decision making and set a good grounding for the financial plan.
Yeah, that's exactly right, isn't it? You know, if you've got a clear vision around what your future looks like, and you've set the goals, and you're very clear on your values and how you want to be living life and what's most important to you, I reckon that decision making can be really easy.
Yeah.
Really easy and purposeful.
Yeah. And we talk about those, like the 3 key outcomes that we want for all the people that we work with is to help them make really smart decisions, and to help them have really a sense of security that the people that they care about are going to be okay no matter what. And the third one is be able to enjoy their wealth and be able to do what they want with their money. And so they're the 3 key outcomes that ultimately we want to help people work towards.
So that they can live a truly prosperous life in every sense of the word. Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why is it important for us to be really clear on the client's goals?
From our perspective, and looking at more, I guess, from the financial side of things, is we need to know how we should be provisioning money, investing money, and setting up a plan and strategy to allow them to achieve their goals. So talking a little bit more in the detail, things like liquidity, asset allocation, but it's really important that we can build out the plan and strategy so that it complements all the goals and make sure that they're all achievable. And as things change, because that's the one thing we know does happen over time, we can tinker with the plan, we can alter it so that those goals are still well funded and that we're factoring it all in.
I kind of think about it saying, you know, we give client, once we're clear on what the client wants to achieve and they've set the really good financial goals, we almost work backwards and give them a step-by-step approach, don't we?
Yeah.
A step-by-step plan. Do this, do this, do this, do this, optimize this. This is where the money needs to be. This is how it needs to be invested. Covering everything to have them making the right progress to achieving the things that are important to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.